When is the best time to stretch and how should I do it? There's a lot of misinformation out there, and unfortunately many trainers and teachers who are not fully aware of the science of stretching will just tell you to do static stretches for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, which has been shown to actually be detrimental in some cases, and in other cases completely unnecessary. So let's talk about it. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and strength conditioning specialist. In this video, we go into cover the science of stretching, and when you should be doing it and how to do it. So let's get right into it. So this is a very basic question that we all want to know the answer to, because we all want to unlock our optimal flexibility and also prevent injury. And there's a few different ways that we can incorporate stretching into our training to improve our flexibility and range of motion. The first one is called dynamic stretching. This is where you are actively moving through a range of motion such as arm circles or leg swings. And this is generally considered to be better than static stretching, especially before exercise. This is because it improves range of motion, and it also gets your muscles ready to move, and it increases blood flow to those muscles. Now, on the other hand, we have static stretching. This is where you're holding a position for a period of time, usually anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And a lot of people recommend doing this after exercise or training. But like I said, it's not always beneficial. We have to look at the research and see exactly what the outcomes are for both of these types of stretching. So let's first talk about dynamic stretching. Like I said, it's generally considered to be better than static stretching, especially before exercise. In fact, it's been shown to improve performance. That means you've be able to lift more weight or run faster after doing dynamic stretches compared to if you were to do static stretches before exercise. But there is some data that suggests that you do and really need to do any type of stretching, dynamic or static, before exercise. It doesn't really seem to matter as long as you're properly warmed up. Now, this is a little bit controversial, and some people will still recommend doing dynamic stretches before exercise, and I still recommend it. But it's probably not going to make a huge difference either way. But what is going to make a huge difference is what you do after exercise. After exercise, it's recommended that you do some type of static stretching. And this can be beneficial for a number of reasons. It can help reduce muscle soreness, and it can help reduce the risk of injury. But again, we have to look at the research and see exactly what the outcomes are. And there's a meta-analysis that was published in 2018 that looked at various studies that compared static stretching to no stretching at all. And they found that there was no difference in terms of injury rates. However, there was another meta-analysis that was published a few years later in 2022 that actually contradicted those findings. And they said that static stretching after exercise actually increased the risk of injury. So what's the truth? Well, it looks like both of these meta-analyses had some flaws in their studies, and they had different conclusions. And it really comes down to the specific population that was being studied. If you take a look at the participants in both of these studies, one of them included runners, and the other one included a variety of different athletes. And so, ultimately, we can conclude that if you're a runner, then you probably don't need to do any static stretching after exercise. But if you're an athlete who participates in other sports that require more range of motion, then static stretching may actually be beneficial. Also, we have to consider the dosage of stretching. How long are you actually holding that stretch for? Some studies have shown that you don't need to hold a stretch for very long at all. Just a few seconds is enough. Other studies have shown that you need to stretch for several minutes to see any type of benefit. So what's the optimal amount of time to stretch for? Well, according to the research, it seems to be anywhere from 60 seconds to 2 minutes. And finally, we have to consider the intensity of the stretch. How hard are you pushing yourself during that stretch? And it seems that a higher intensity stretch is more likely to be beneficial, especially for improving range of motion. So to summarize, if you're a runner, you probably don't need to do any static stretching after exercise. But if you're an athlete who participates in other sports that require more range of motion, then static stretching may be beneficial. You should stretch for around 60 seconds to 2 minutes. And you should be pushing yourself during that stretch to increase the intensity. Hopefully this helps to clear up some of the confusion about when and how to stretch. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. Be sure you stay tuned for future videos, and I'll catch you guys next time.